welcome to the Association Pod. Coming at you again with another episode this week. We have completed week 9 of our association season. We've hit the halfway point of the regular season, and we're so excited to bring you another episode of the pod analyzing the week 9 power rankings. And we're introducing a new segment that will be included in the power rankings. We're going to have each team's most impressive player of the week. We're also going to give out awards for the first, second, and third best player performance of the week. Everybody sit back and enjoy this episode of the Association Pod. This week's episode is sponsored by no one. All of our sponsors are taking off for the holiday season. I wish everyone a Merry Christmas. I pray you have some awesome quality time with your families this week. I hope everyone gets wonderful presents, and I hope everyone just has a wonderful time celebrating the reason for the season. Week 9 was definitely a memorable week so far of the NBA season. We saw the winners of the NBA Cup crowned. Congrats to the New York Knicks and Jalen Brunson, MVP of the NBA Emirates Cup. It was definitely, in my opinion, a very fun experience with the NBA Cup. I haven't always been a fan of it in the past, but I think the product this year was exhilarating. I think we had some great games, especially in the quarterfinals and the semifinals. Feels like they're figuring out a good formula for it. A couple of big injuries happened this week. Domantas Sabonis is going to be out at least another month with his injury. He is still not ready to come back to play. Going to be a big hit for the Kings and for Harry the Hawk, Sabonis' owner. We also are seeing Ivica Zubac going down with an injury as well. He's going to miss several weeks with a sprain. It's a big hit to Ryan S. and the Underdogs. As highlighted last week, Zubac was one of the best keeper selections we had, receiving that A grade. So it's a big hit to the Clippers, who are already struggling in the NBA season, and a big hit to the Underdogs as well. The last point to recap before we get into the power rankings analysis is going to be the winner of the manager voted poll in last week's podcast episode. The winner, based on managers' votes for the best keeper of the year, is Jalen Johnson from the Infirmary. Thank you, everyone, for contributing on the polls. Be sure to check out the poll this week, and we look forward to hearing your feedback on that one. The poll this week is going to be non-NBA related. Got a little Christmas poll to get everybody in the holiday season as you listen in today. Without further ado, let's get into the Week 9 Power Rankings breakdown. Starting off the analysis of the Week 9 Power Rankings is going to be the 12th spot, a big lump with Knobs. This week's performance for Chris is definitely one that he's hoping the team can move on from, as in the 9 statistical categories, Knobs finished in the bottom third in 6 of the 9 categories. There was a 12th place finish in assists, 4 11th place finishes, those being field goal percentage, points, rebounds, and steals. And there also was a 10th place finish in blocks. Chris was able to get a great performance out of one of his young players this week to give him a bright spot moving forward. That player being Reed Sheppard. Reed Sheppard was able to provide Chris with 16 three-pointers, the second most of any most impressive player nominee this week. Sheppard also was able to contribute 6 steals and gave Chris 18 assists on only 4 turnovers. A definite bright spot for the squad as Chris hopes to look to bounce back next week. Coming in the 11th spot, we have the Underdogs. After finishing third in last week's power rankings, Ryan's squad unfortunately takes a step back this week. After finishing first in 2 categories last week, the best finish for the Underdogs was a 4th place finish in free throw percentage. The team also finished 11th in steals and 11th in three-pointers made. Ryan was able to get a great performance from another young player in the league this week in Cooper Flagg. We saw Cooper put up a great performance this week, not only putting up his first ever 40-point game in the NBA, but also giving great shooting percentages on those points as well. Cooper was able to shoot 46% from the field, give Ryan 89 points for the week, and also give him 21 rebounds, 6 blocks, and only 7 turnovers for the rookie. Cooper was able to play great this week for the Underdogs. Ryan is definitely hoping that his performance can springboard the team back up to the top of the power rankings where they were last week. We see another team taking a bit of a drop in the power rankings this week, with Harry the Hawk coming in 10th. After 3 straight weeks of improvement in the power rankings, we see Kenny's squad taking a step back into the 10th spot this week. Most of this drop is contributed to a last place finish in turnovers, finishing tied for last in blocks, and 11th place finish in free throw percentage as well. A notable performance, though, for Kenny's squad this week came from Norman Powell. Powell has been playing exceptional this year for the Miami Heat, and Norman was able to give Kenny some good performance on the defensive end as well. Besides providing 84 points and 10 3-pointers, Powell was able to get 7 steals on the week for Harry the Hawk. Checking in now on the 9th rank, we have Benny's Bistro. The return of the Bistro namesake was only able to give Benny a 1-spot jump in the power rankings from his 10th place finish in week 8. After finishing in the bottom third in 5 of the 9 stat categories last week, we saw Benny's squad only finish in the bottom third in 2 stat categories this week. The Bistro had 12th place finish in free throw percentage and points, but was able to improve in a couple other categories to move them up 1 spot, including being second in turnovers this week. The best performance from Benny's squad this week is one of our more surprising performers of the week. Sandro Mamukelashvili finished with a very impressive stat line this week, shooting 57.9% from the field and giving Benny 11 3-pointers, 57 points, and 24 rebounds. Definitely not one of our more common names for what you think of as a top performer in the league, but Sandro was able to give Benny good number of points, good 3-point shooting, and an incredible field goal percentage as well. Moving on to the 8th spot, we find aspirations of a title. We see another drop for Tim's squad this week after finishing 6th in last week's power rankings. We saw a couple of drops in the stat categories this week, specifically the shooting categories for Tim. A 12th place finish in field goal percentage and a 12th place finish in threes contributed to the drop 2 spots for Tim. We still see aspirations performing well in blocks. After finishing first last week, they put up a tied for second performance again this week, but that wasn't enough to keep them from dropping in the power rankings. Tim continues to see great performances, though, out of one of his best keepers in Cade Cunningham. Cade is the nominee for Most Impressive Player of the Week for aspirations of a title after filling the stat sheet once again, giving 83 points, 24 rebounds, and 29 assists, the most assist total of any of the nominees this week. Cade is continuing to show that he is one of the best players in fantasy this year and is continuing to be one of the bright spots for the aspirations of a title squad. Moving up again in the power rankings this week, we find Captain's Carnival in the 7th spot. We see Taylor's squad continuing to improve week to week as they rise again 1 spot in the power rankings, as they have the previous 2 weeks. The team was able to finish first in turnovers this week and put up 2nd place finishes in both the percentage categories this week. There is still a lot of positive momentum that can be created for Captain's Carnival, as they still finished 12th in rebounds, 11th in assists, and tied 11th in blocks. Turning those categories around, we could see Captain's Carnival and Taylor's squad breaking out of the bottom half of the power rankings. A big contributor to this increase this week for Captain's Carnival was DeMar DeRozan. Despite the Kings' struggles in the NBA so far, DeMar has been a good contributor in fantasy for Taylor. DeMar gave Taylor this week 75 points on 53% from the field, 13 in rebounds and assists, and also finishing the week with 9 steals. Those 9 steals were the most of any player nominated by a team this week. In the 6th spot, we are going to find Malik's Monastery. After not having any finish be worse than 6th last week, we see Thompson's squad with 4 of the 9 stat categories this week being 8th or less, bringing them a drop from their 1st place finish. Second to last in steals and tied for 10th in turnovers are the biggest contributors for the drop for Malik's Monastery. The 1st place finish in free throw percentage was not enough to prevent the team from sliding down the rank. For the Monastery, we saw Kevin Durant doing everything possible to prevent the slide from the 1st place spot. Durant provided 112 points, the most of any nominee this week, 28 rebounds, 22 assists, 14 threes, and also 10 blocks. This incredible performance by Durant was impressive to watch, but not enough to prevent the drop in the power rankings for Malik's Monastery. In fifth place, our highest riser of the week is going to be Cat. Another really impressive turnaround this week in the power rankings has happened again, with Jordan's squad moving up 7 spots. With only 2 categories falling in the bottom third rank, we saw Jordan's squad put up the first place finish in steals and a third place finish in assists. It was an all around improvement from last week, with Cat improving in 8 of the 9 statistical categories from last week. The best contributor this week for Cat is Jaren Jackson Jr. Triple J was able to fill the stat sheet as well this week, giving Jordan 81 points on 55.6% from the field, 24 rebounds, and 8 blocks as well. Jordan can definitely thank Jaren Jackson for that increase in the power rankings this week. Another team making a big jump in the power rankings this week is the Heatles in 4th. John Frank's team continues to be the inconsistent finisher they were that we highlighted in last week's episode. This week, that inconsistency brings them in the top third of the league's power rankings. We saw improvements in almost all of the stat categories as well for the Heatles, highlighted most by a second place finish in rebounds and third place in points and 3-pointers made. One of those contributors to that second place finish in rebounds is going to be Khalil Ware. Ware was able to snag an impressive 58 rebounds this week, the most of any player nominee. Ware was also able to give John Frank 7 blocks and 80 points on 66.7% field goal percentage. A really strong performance for Ware, helping give the Heatles a big jump back in the power rankings. We go from one of our more inconsistent placers in the power rankings to one of our more consistent ones, with the Infirmary coming in 3rd. Moving up 1 spot in the power rankings, Ryan W's squad was able to put up another great performance this week. 2 first-place finishes in rebounds and assists contributed to moving up that 1 spot, as well as being tied for second in steals. The consistency from the Infirmary is definitely impressive to see, as the team is able to give great performances week to week with little fall off. One of those big contributors is Jalen Johnson. After being voted the most impressive keeper in last week's episode, Jalen rewarded Ryan with 96 points, 33 rebounds, and 24 assists. Jalen continues to prove that A+ grade in the keeper rankings last week was not a fluke, and why Ryan W. is very happy to have him on the squad. In second place, we find another bounce-back performance with Wiggins of Nas. After slipping to 7th last week, Nate's squad was able to bounce back most impressively with this second-place finish. With 3 first-place finishes in field goal percentage, points, and blocks, and also being tied for second in steals, it's no surprise seeing the team rise back up into the top 3. Nate was able to get a great performance out of Derek White this week, contributing 18 3-pointers, the most of any nominee this week. White was able to also provide Nate with 79 points, 16 rebounds, 14 assists, and 6 blocks as well. A great performance that helped catapult Wiggins of Nas back to the top of the standings. In the number 1 spot, we find the opponent of Wiggins and Nas in week 9, the Jimmy Chitwoods. The Chitwoods had an impressive all-around performance that helped catapult them up to the number 1 spot. Having only 1 first-place finish, a tie for 3-pointers made, the team also finished 2nd in points and assists, 3rd in free throw percentage and turnovers. The Chitwoods only had 2 categories that finished outside of the top 4, and is the biggest reason for them climbing up to the number 1 spot this week. The best performance that the Jimmy Chitwoods got this week came from Keontae George. Keontae was able to give 98 points this week, as well as 12 3-pointers and 23 assists. Keontae continues to be an impressive player for the Utah Jazz and also an impressive player for the Jimmy Chitwoods. Now that we've finished the power rankings breakdown, let's hand out our most impressive player of the week awards. With the bronze medal this week, we find Khalil Ware. Ware was very impressive for the Heatles this week and was deserving of a 3rd place finish. In the silver spot, we're going to find Jalen Johnson with that incredible stat-stuffing performance he gave the Infirmary. Finally, the gold medal finish is Kevin Durant for Malik's Monastery. The way Durant filled up the stat sheet in so many different categories this week is why he's awarded the most impressive player of the week for week 9. Thank you everyone for listening to this week's episode. So thankful to see y'all's feedback. As always, I appreciate you guys listening and being excited for the pod. I hope to continue to bring you guys great segments, lots of fun, and more great analysis as we hit the second half of the regular season. Good luck to everyone this week. God bless and have a Merry Christmas.